Hi, Nilesh Jain, co-founder and director at Clinivantage, based out of Mumbai. I think if you look at the Western world, we're moving more towards integrated data in terms of patient care. One of the challenges that we've seen is a lot of these systems exist in silos. And as we move towards the future, a lot of the data silos need to be combined. One of the challenges that we've seen in terms of technology enabling this is bringing different data sources together and really giving a single point of view into the patient care. That's one. The second challenge is also as we get into more and more wearables, more and more devices, how do we bring the real data connected into the ecosystem where you have the medics kind of monitor that on an ongoing basis. We've got the Fitbits of the world, we've got the Apple Watches, and we've got the phones. The challenge there is how do we bring the clinical data with the non-clinical data and the fitness data together on a single ecosystem where the patient care can be more centric towards more future wellness versus illness the way we look at it today. I think the technology and the devices technology is helping us move in that direction, especially when we talk about integrated platforms. We are looking at a couple of systems where we've got real-time 24/7 monitoring data come in. We're looking at clinical systems or clinical data come in from the hospital systems. The key is going to be looking at this data, bringing them together and looking at the AI, ML tools and technologies that we build on top of this. I think it's massive. If you look at the world evolving in terms of data and the data science, we're now relying more and more on how we're going to measure the vitals, we're going to measure different parameters coming in from both clinical and non-clinical systems. Also, if you look at a lot of the startup ecosystem that's coming up, you looked at the bigger companies in terms of using machine learning algorithms to get into predictive. We're looking at genomics to come into effect of saying how does personalized care impact personal delivery of medication, right? So we're getting into more and more personalized care where data is becoming an integral part of the solution, which means you as an individual, you have a different genetic structure, you have a different metabolism structure, you have a different clinical challenges that you may have. How do we bring that together and really make it very personal from a clinical perspective, and not only that but also deliver the right medication that will have an impact on you. And this is where I think the personalized care is heading towards. We're probably very early on in terms of nascent stages in India as well as globally. But I think the world is heading there in terms of how healthcare will be delivered to a patient. I think the challenges are massive in healthcare. And I think this is why we're still living with technologies that are close to 70, 80, 100 years old. We have not evolved in terms of technology. We've done the Uberization of the world, and we've done the Swiggy of the world in other areas of consumer economy. We've not looked at healthcare from a pure consumer perspective. We still treat patients based on their illness. We're now beginning to think about wellness. The challenges are really, one, getting this information, two, building collaboratively solutions that will effectively deliver the right solution and the right care to the patient. The challenge comes in deployment. The second challenge comes in commercialization. So if you look at every company, at the end of the day, they need to make money, right? It may not be huge profit margins, but they need to make money. One of the challenges that we see in the healthcare is a lot of innovation gets not really getting to a commercialized space, right? Which means at the end of the day, good innovation, good research is going to be in the books and they die pretty young. Our challenge is to be able to take this and take it to the next level. How do we do that? The way we overcome this is by collaborating with the right partners. If you look at our platform and look at different platforms that are coming up in the healthcare space, and you look at the new technologies that are coming up, the key is going to be bringing different players together. For example, you have a super specialist and you have a person who's done neurology and you have a person who's done cardiac. The same person cannot probably address both. And the same goes in healthcare delivery. We've got to have different experts come together on a single platform and really solve these problems from a long-term perspective. And I think platforms, removing the silos of data, bringing different networks together is going to be the key in terms of solving these challenges. So we started Clinivantage. The thought of Clinivantage started about 6 years ago. I have two more co-founders, Dr. Abhay Chopra and Dinesh Samudra. We've been talking about doing something in the healthcare space for a while. About 3 years ago, we decided that we found a very interesting company that could solve problems that were in line with what our thought was. And things didn't go right. Finally said, I don't think so anybody else other than the three of us can come together and build a solution that will work for the future. So in about November 2016, we formed our company. We got full time into this and started building our platform. So we look at three different core areas where we believe healthcare will have a significant impact. The first part is platform as a service. So what we're doing is we've created an entire platform with 12 different systems coming together on a single system that helps doctors, clinics, hospitals, as large as 3,000 bed hospitals to use the same system, along with a consumer app and consumer devices. So we've got our own devices that get attached or integrated into our platform. So that's the first part, which is integration and a smooth data flow across from the patient to the clinic to the hospital and or third-party providers. The second part is infrastructure as a service. So what we've done is, challenge of current infrastructure is scalability. So we are using tools and technologies to see how we can scale the current infrastructure using our platform and using our technology to be able to do that. The third part is really critical and really innovative is what we're doing is API as service. So what we're doing is opening up our platform for other researchers, other companies to be a part of our platform. We want to be collaborative, like I said before. We want to bring in more technology, we want to bring in more devices, we want to bring in more researchers and more skill sets onto our platform to do innovative things in healthcare. For example, we're looking at COPD area where we can do deep learning on CT analysis and CT scans of COPD and give you a much detailed analysis than what the doctor can do in a certain time frame. So I think we want to enable innovations in this area by opening up the platform and looking at more from a future perspective what we're building today. So Clinivantage's biggest USP is the platform as a service. So what we see is a single integrated platform that can collate data from multiple sources. Not only that, think of how email evolved from having your own infrastructure, having your own physical systems and tools in place at a physical facility, and then moving on to a cloud infrastructure. This is what we're doing. So we are doing a complete cloud-based infrastructure where a single doctor to a 3,000 plus bed hospital can use this. We have our own devices, and this is what is critical to our USP. We've got devices like DOT, and we call this as Doctor of Things. Devices like this can measure 6 different vitals, which means this can be an in-home use device, it can be an in-clinic device, it can be an in-hospital device. Not only that, we've got 20 other devices that we've integrated across different manufacturers. Now, think about what it does. It enables a manufacturer to go to market. If the device is one of the best devices, we can commercialize that, we can roll this out across multiple clinics, multiple hospitals. It builds our connected ecosystem. So let's talk about a urine analyzer, let's talk about a 12-lead ECG, let's talk about a digital stethoscope. Bringing all this data together on a single platform for doctor to make the best decision much faster. Right? On top of that, when we talk about AI ML, we're opening up our data structures for other researchers to come on board and start talking about building deep learning solutions on top of our platform. So when you look at radiology data and you look at non-radiology data and you look at clinical data and you look at pharmaceutical data, imagine all that on a single platform and the value that we can bring to the table for the patient to really do personalized care. And I think that's our USP. Our USP is bringing together different skills of people, different talent onto a single platform to deliver really high-end healthcare solutions. So the future that we look at from a Clinivantage perspective is a platform as a service, which will be an open source system where a patient walks in, we've got his genomic data, we've got his family history, we've got his lifestyle issues, we've got his fitness data. Now just imagine when the doctor sees the entire history, the trends and the historical information, the kind of care that we can provide, the kind of medication that we can provide, really targeted based on the person's metabolism, based on the person's medical history, right? And that's going to be critical. So if you look at the way we're evolving, we will probably be the first app store for healthcare. So just imagine, Google Play Store and Apple Play Store or Apple Music, right? The ecosystem opens up for a lot of developers to come on board and develop some high-end solutions in the medical space, which can be delivered through our platform. Our goal by 2019 is to get to 100 million consumers. We're at about 15 million consumers today. Get to about 75,000 transactions a day. We're roughly at about 2,000 transactions a day. Our goal is very doable because we've closed about 65 plus hospitals across 6 countries today. And I think given ourselves another 12 months, we'll aggressively be able to meet our targets in terms of the numbers that we're looking at, and then really opening up the platform for bringing in more high-end entrepreneurs, high-end researchers onto our platform to build much better solutions.